What's up guys? Yes, today the importance of a good guitar setup. So guys, yesterday I wanted to come on and talk about the importance of having a good guitar setup and what it means and what it can do for your guitar playing. So what does this mean? Every guitar player has their guitar set up differently. They have it set up to what's best for them, their playing, whether it's more rhythm side of things or more lead side of things. So one of the most important things when it comes to setup is the action. Now the action is the height of the strings between the height and the fretboard. That's where your action is. If it's too high, I mean, you all know, for those of us that have been playing guitar for a long time, those guitars that we used to buy, and the action was all the way up here, you know, be all the way out here, and we just had no hope of playing. It was impossible because as much as you tried to fret, you just couldn't because it was too high, and it's not ideal. It's not ideal at all. So action is very important, and it's different when it comes to rhythm players or lead players, and I'm going to give you an example. As you know myself, I don't do a whole lot of lead playing. I'm more of a rhythm kind of dude. So I have my guitar set up to what feels good for me, for my rhythm. I'm not really too asked about the lead kind of stuff because I don't do it that often. You know, I just need a good chunk on the bottom end and I'm happy. Now I've played my mate's guitar, who is an absolute avid shredder motherfucker. Loves to whittle. And I've played on his guitar, and I found when I'm doing some lead stuff, my lead guitar playing actually improves and it's a lot smoother, and I find it a lot more motivating to play lead because of how his guitar is set up. So if you want to be a guitar player that likes your rhythm and your lead, you want to pay close attention on the action of the low strings and the higher strings. So you're going to want the higher strings a little bit higher just for a bit more chunk. Then you're going to want the higher strings. Did I say the lower strings a little bit higher? Fuck me. The lower strings a little bit higher for a bit more chunk, and the higher strings a little more lower just for that widdly diddly goodness. Because I found when your guitar action on the higher strings isn't set properly, it's difficult to really nail that lead playing. And I find when I try and do lead stuff on my guitars versus his guitars, huge difference. So there is one very important reason why setup is key. A good setup is key. And now also string gauge comes into this as well. If you've got really thick strings on the high end, you've got no hope of just whittling like a madman unless you're Zakk Wylde. Man is just a beast. I don't typically tend to mix gauge strings. Luckily, Ernie Ball bought out some strings where it's, you know, quite chunky on the low end, but then a little bit lighter on the high end, which is cool. Ernie Ball, always taking care of us. So setup is extremely important to your guitar playing. And I also believe that, this is one point I wanted to make, which made me want to do this video, is that if your guitar isn't set up in a decent way or half decent, you're going to find yourself thinking, well, I'm no good. I'm not getting any better. I'm not improving. I find it really hard to play everything. But that might not be your guitar playing abilities. It might actually just be the way your guitar is set up. Like I said, the action or the strings you're using. And another good one for setup is intonation. For those of you that don't know what intonation is, so when you've got your guitar in tune from all the open strings, all that's not in tune. But once you've got it in tune open, the intonation is adjusted from down here at the saddle. You've got these little saddles that the strings sit in, and there's little screws, and you adjust them, they go back and forward. I won't go into it too deeply, but intonation, the way it's done is you want to hit your open string, tune it, and then fret it at the 12th fret. See what it is. If it's flat or sharp, then you need to move the saddle forwards or backwards. Again, a huge important thing for setup and playability, because if your guitar's not intonated, you're going to find lots of bad tuning all over the place, especially from here to here. I know it can cost to get a good setup, like a professional setup. I highly recommend it. I definitely think it's worth doing. I've had it done once before and it was great. I kind of do it myself now because I've kind of learned. It's easy enough to learn, so you can do that. It just takes time and knowledge of what works, and you can go deep into it with measurements and how many millimeters your string needs to be from the fretboard and the pickup and all of the fucking widdly woodly doodly shit. But for me, I just adjust it to where it feels good. But it is good to learn about it or get it done professionally, because when it comes to string action, if it's too high, as we mentioned, it's impossible to play anything. So you're trying to press down on the string so hard, you're just losing the will to live. But then if it's too low, the strings are going to be buzzing all over the fretboard and it's going to sound terrible. All you're going to hear is buzzing. Because as I've mentioned in previous videos, the strings do this. They rotate, they vibrate. So if there's no space for it to vibrate and move, you're not going to get any clean notes come out. It's just going to be horrible buzzy shit. So this is why I think a good setup is important for guitar players in progressing, because you get your first guitar, it's set up really bad, but you don't know anything about it. And you just go on and go on. You get to the point where you think, well, I'm not getting any better. I find it impossible to play things. It could just be it needs a setup. Because as I mentioned back in the video, my lead playing isn't really very good. But when I played my mate's guitar that's set up really low on the high end, I was whittling like a beast. So guys, there you go. The importance of a good setup. It can improve your playing. It can improve your playability, the playability of your guitar. You'll find things easier to play, a lot smoother. And I mean, especially down here where you're picking, if the strings are too high up, it's just not comfortable at all. So you want to get that set right. I recommend getting it done professionally. I mean, things like the saddles being raised and lowered, because they've got to be different on each side. Won't go into that. But yeah, professionally is always good, even though it costs a little bit of money. They're fairly cheap, I think, if you shop around, but it can improve your guitar playing, and you won't be stuck in that kind of mindset of, oh, well, I suck. Because maybe you don't. Maybe your guitar is just set up like a piece of shit. Guys, let me know down below some of the key points that you go for when it comes to a setup, how you like your action, what you go for. If you've got any questions about setup, put it in the comments. Either myself or one of the amazing Riffmaster family members will answer that question for you, because a lot of them are more smart than me. If you're new, guys, hit that subscribe button. Come and follow me on Instagram. Hit the join button if you want to become a member and see loads of cool behind the scenes stuff. And just get loads of random stuff sent to you, like free guitar strings, because I'm a nice guy. Please, guys, rock out, be awesome. Oh, hit the thumbs up button, that'd be awesome. Every person that hits the thumbs up button receives 1 token for something good at some point. Please, guys, rock out, be awesome. Check your setup, and yeah, I'll see you soon. See ya!